I think maybe not many people are familiar with the term of Uberising, quality education in particular. So maybe I have to introduce that, some of the ABC, what I call as ABC of Uberising, quality education. But not many people are not familiar with Uber, that we realize. Yeah? That gives you a big, a massive clue about what Uberising quality education might be all about. So I'm going to introduce about how we have experienced, some of our experiences in doing just that, Uberising, from 6P point of view. Because you will see later, it's not all about technology, even though Uberization has a lot to do with technology. And then Uberization, what has it got to do with a research university like UTM in particular? Yeah, we are a research university, and when we talk about education, maybe less and less people think of UTM as a championing Uberization of education in particular, and not being able to connect it directly to research university and global prominence in particular. People talk a lot about ranking. It is there. You have to live with it. Whether you like it or not, students make their decision based on ranking, whether you like it or not, and some take-home messages. Well, Uberising education in particular, I'm going to introduce that, and why in particular, I'm going to elaborate about why you have to Uberize in these days and age, and why we are doing it in particular, and who has to be involved in championing or Uberising education, and what is its relevant to RU, Research University, and more importantly, maybe many of us cannot connect it to global prominence in particular, and ranking, how you can rise up the ranking when, in particular, people talk a lot about publication, citation, as well as H indices, okay? And is it all about the use of technology? What is Uberising? This is my definition, and there are definitions about Uberization in online dictionary, in many dictionary. Maybe some of us didn't think that it was English before, but it actually has been made English, or has been English before this, I am not sure, but now it's part of English. My definition of Uberization is actually to leverage on available resources, whether or not that resources is within your internal settings, within your organization, or outside the organization. More importantly, there are ample resources outside the organization that you have to leverage on. Outside UTM, throughout the world, there are resources that you can leverage on. So it is about leveraging on available resources through smart partnership to maximize returns, maximize return in particular, while minimizing costs and risk. The more and more many of us will be thinking about what has it got to do with research university, as well as rising up the ranking in particular, because ranking is around and we have to live with it. Is it not meant to show? Okay, the slide is over there. Okay, I hope we get the definition of Uberization. And when we talk about Uberising education and then technology, people say a lot about use of technology in Uberization. For your information, and from our perspective, Uberization of education maybe has about 20% to do with technology, and the rest of the 80% is what I'm going to introduce, the 6P of Uberization. Yep. What is 6P? Maybe you have heard about University of the People. You have seen the video about University of the People, where you don't need a university like Uber doesn't need vehicle, at least the non-autonomous vehicle, for them to operate and be the largest taxi company in the world. Yeah? Maybe people think about you don't need a university to give quality education or to afford quality education for the people. Yeah? I disagree completely with that. Yeah, you need some form of, this is a utopian dream, at least for now, to us, to me, is still a fantasy, for us to have University of the People. I will qualify why I say that. For now, Yeah? The reality is, when we work a lot on this, then we know what the realities are. You need a conducive, first and foremost, favorable and open policy of a government. You think that Malaysia has a lot of opportunity and a lot of advantage when working with, for example, countries like Indonesia, when we want to Uberize education. I've defined Uberization, leveraging. But this is among the most challenging partnership that we have when it comes to academic collaboration between Malaysia and Indonesia, because the policy has yet to materialize. The policy of Indonesia has yet to support Malaysia, even though we speak 80% or 90% almost similar language, and the culture is about 80 to 90% similar. But in terms of Uberization, I will also talk in the context of how we Uberize. The policy needs to be open. We also have to localize the systems between Malaysia and Indonesia, and between Malaysia and other countries, or for that matter, between your countries and other countries, for us to be able to Uberize. Tuning. We call it tuning. Many people throughout the world call it tuning or localization or standardization of the systems. When you map the curriculum, it's about tuning between two universities. And then you have to do validation or quality audit to make sure that what you already commit, what you already pledge, is implemented and implemented successfully. That is the reason why ISO 50001, for example, or ISO 14001 or ISO 9000 may not be automated for now yet, completely automated for now yet, because you always have this quality audit and validation. Maybe you agree or disagree, but if you have been through this process, then you will know. The period of residency is also vital for many countries. You need to be there for a period of time, to have formal quality education. I'm not talking about informal education, where people, university, you can actually learn yourself. There's also home university, home teaching. So that has been existing for a while now. Home teaching is also about making a choice for having what type of education you want, but we need to talk about acknowledged or accredited or validated education. There is also employability in other countries, not just for your country, and more than half, maybe, people throughout the world is not embracing 4.0, unfortunately or fortunately. Whether we realize it or not. Maybe more than half is below IR 3.0, Industrial Revolution 3.0, not yet 4.0. Okay, we introduced to you the 6P of Uberizing quality education. The first is you have to be able to sustain. When you want to sustain something, Prof. Mustaq just mentioned about the impact statement. You must realize about this impact, why is it so important that you have to drive the mission by hook or the mission at all costs. Of course, the positive costs, and the purpose is why you want to Uberize is of utmost importance to us. The second one is who to Uberize. Who will champion this mission or cause? And then the third thing is what to Uberize. What are you going to offer to people, to stakeholders out there for you to be able to Uberize? And the fourth thing is actually who you have to work with. You cannot work alone. You have to realize that out there is overwhelming stakeholders that might be against Uberization. Particularly the first in the list that I've listed is the policymakers in particular, and we have a lot of pains in dealing with this. Who you have to work with, place and provision, what you have to provide, and to be able to attract people and students. Maybe you have to spend less time on this one. And finally, you have to show impact of Uberization to be able to convince people that Uberization is on the way. And finally, in the future, maybe we will really have, next 20 years, people's university. So why Uberize? The purpose is basically, first and foremost, you will see that this might be the risk profile of many organizations nowadays, especially universities. For research university, the top risk is actually losing a research universities previously, but now it's no longer losing the research university, for your information. It is about non-sustainable financial standing. As you can see on top right hand, second in line is actually non-sustainable financial standing. Yeah? Having inadequate amount of money to support our, basically our process and programs. And for your information, academic program takes up about 60% of income contribution to a university. I think maybe more for cases of private university. Maybe you have to share with me. You'll see that universities of the future, yeah, has to win in terms of funding, win in terms of global prominence, win in terms of partnership along the line of what I'm going to say, and win in terms of, first and foremost, is actually winning the hearts and minds of the people, or in our terms, in our experiences, in terms of the ability to widen access as wide as possible and to Uberize access to higher education. And this is the university of the future. In terms of UTM's purpose, yeah, we want to be an excellent organization. And how do you measure excellent organization? This is the vision of the UTM. I'm just trying to basically state the vision of UTM. We measure it by how far we're going to rise up the ranking. Now we are at 53. We want to be a top 20 in engineering and technology, top maybe 0.5% in engineering and technology in the world. Yeah? So we think, more importantly, to map with our risk profile, we have to be able to sustain, yeah, our financial standings. And for that reason, yeah, widening access and democratizing access globally, not within the region, is basically the way to go for UTM. That will ensure us the institutional sustainability, yeah, from widening access. It means that the more customers we have in the world, the more people that buy our curriculum, the more people that subscribe to our program, and the more sustainable we would be. By sustaining or by subscribing to our program, we are not just saying that they come to UTM to study, they buy our program to study in their own country, in their own university, in their own facility, without us having to go there and teach them. That is what Uberising is all about. And for your information, to be sustainable, you have to be as wide and far as possible. We have our alumni at 100 countries in the world. So basically, we think that this is the most, yeah, strongest conduit for us to Uberize education. That's the purpose, the first one. Yeah? Who should drive then? Yeah? The key factors we believe to be leading an organization, to be an organization that leads, yeah, globally, is not to rise up the ranking and use the metrics that other people are using. Publication, yeah, basically citation, all these things. Even though we are going for that, this is very important for one purpose or another, for purpose that we believe in. But what is more important, yeah, to be excellent, is to be excellent via differentiation. What is the one thing that you are insanely great at? That is what we are targeting. That is what you have to actually be able to communicate to people. What's UTM all about? What's UTM? How is UTM different from other people? How is your university different? So the thing that we are insanely great at. And to be sustainable, you also have to, yeah, basically be able to be in the business of changing the life of people. It has to be social, to be sustainable. Yeah? Because people will embrace something that will change their life. That's social. And it has also got to be global and inclusive. Everybody, if possible, will subscribe to our products and program, if possible. Yeah, everybody in the world. If you are Uberising education, unlike you are Uberising, even you say that iPhone or iPad and so on and so forth is something that people embrace throughout the world, but be surprised that at least 50% of people are still not embracing iPhone or iPad. Maybe one household in Europe has 5 or 6 products, but people in Africa people in Papua New Guinea, people in some parts of Asia is not, up to that technology yet. So it has to be global and inclusive. For that reason, I think education is a bigger product or programs, is a bigger industry than even iPhone or iPad or communication, information and communication technology. If you don't believe me, I don't think that anybody wants to argue with that education you need before you can use iPad or iPhone. And then by design, you have to put in the system, not by choice or by chance. Yeah? You have to do it by design. How you institutionalize in your basically organization. And you have to be able to innovate. Otherwise, you won't have continuous or sustainable product. If you're copycatting other people's product or programs or degree programs, then you won't be able to have enough customer or enough people to subscribe to your product. Down the line, you have to have new products and program, and you have to have capacity to do research to contribute to new products and programs. And this program must be top quality accredited programs. I'm going to talk about that as well. Yeah, the game changer, number one, we talk about purpose already. Number two, the game changer is actually people in your organization. Okay? For your information, I'm talking about the purpose of Malaysia actually. 4 out of 10 shifts is actually revolving around people. And the other 6 shifts is about the setting systems or outcomes, enablers to improve outcomes. The first 4, shift 1 and to shift 4, is not by chance that they are important top 4. It is by design they are important top 4. Yeah? The people is about people who works in the organization and also the people who subscribe to what your organization has got to offer. Okay? And this is why the mission of UTM is about people as well. Yeah? UTM mission is about building people and talents who will innovate, innovative technologies, so that they can make a difference to the life of other people. I think we in UTM think that this is a very big and very all-encompassing statement of mission for UTM. Why? It's talking about the top priority, the people with holistic talent, and then it's talking about technology, innovative technology, and why is the reason? Why are the reasons they do it? Is for the universal well-being and prosperity. And widening access is one of the top in our list. We don't count, actually, where we are going to be, whether top 20 or top 53 or top. We think that if we focus on these fundamentals, maybe we are going to be in top 1 in Asia, or top 10 or top 5, better than we said. But don't try to overestimate yourself there. Just put top 20. That's just nice. Okay? But we think that if we are focused and we mobilize everybody, we know that we are going to be at least top 10 in the world in engineering and technology. Inshallah, we'll do that. Why is people important? These are Malaysians. For those of you who are not Malaysians, employees come number 1. Your people, our people comes number 1. You have to develop them. You have to nurture them. You have to leverage on their capacity and capability, their talent. Even in the Quran, it says that about people, as the Khalifa of the world. They are copying from the Quran, basically. If you have people in your organization who are happy, they themselves automatically will look at the technology and the customer. They will make them happy. Okay? So this is the person who Uberized air travel or democratized air travel throughout Asia, and the best in the world anyway. The best 9 years in a row. Difficult to argue for somebody who is best in low-cost airline 9 years in a row. Okay? So people at faculty is our next strategy. We don't just put in the statement of the mission, we try to realize it and operationalize it as far as possible. When we talk about people, we don't talk about people in terms of hiring the best talent only. When you hire people, you are responsible for the entire supply chain of the people, because in education, especially in the government situation, when you have the people there already, it's very difficult to fire them. Not in private organization, yes, we know, but you have to have a unique setting where you can develop people through the time they get into the system, recruitment, and then development, Next is advancement, and then the welfare of the people to make sure they are happy. And after they retire, if they are not 93 yet, they should not retire. For now, that is what basically we believe in. You know, that is the reason why we have Uberized education. We have centers throughout the world where people who retire wants to go with their wife, for example, to Mauritius, for example, to teach over there. We have Uberized our education over there, and they can choose to be anywhere in the world where UTM has a center, or UTM has an alumni, and they Uberize our education over there using the facilities of Mauritius University, for example. So there are not just the element of promotion for Uberize or for developing people. We have the 5 key elements of developing people, from where you try to map the academic and research discipline to the human resource utilization planning. Not just about succession planning. Many people put an emphasis on succession planning, but that is not holistic enough. You have to look at the talent, you have to look at the performance, you have to try to map with the career pathway planning. You also have to look at their workload, whether you can distribute, you have already give them enough responsibilities for them to be happy about. Yeah? So this is the system, basically that part of our Uberization strategy. Strategic human resource for academic and research planning. So this is the people again. And part of the program in our SHARP strategy is actually about developing future-ready educators. This is one of the signature programs that we are developing, future-ready educators. But first of all, we have to map people according to their talent. There's a lot of unhappiness about academicians nowadays. Many of them even kill themselves, unfortunately. These are the sad news, because people try to basically push themselves to the limit in areas that they are not happy about. That is the problem. That is the biggest problem, in areas that the academicians are not happy about. In UTM, we have this differentiated career pathway. If you are happy more about being a leader, less of research and less of teaching, then you'll be the great leader that you want. Or if you're happy about teaching more than you do research, even though we are a research university, then we have to try to agree with you on you being a great teacher. Being a great teacher means also you have to be a great researcher in what you are teaching. So that is also part of research. So in a nutshell, we have a differentiated career pathway that will ensure all the academicians' abilities are basically unleashed. And then there is mentoring for excellence, teaching, research, professional development, as well as leadership. We believe in this, and we in fact implemented it this way. Not this way, but this is basically something that we do not want to fall into, that makes everybody unhappy. Because if you try to evaluate people based on just one criteria, for example, the ability to climb a tree, there are different types of species in the world, and you only evaluate them on the ability to climb a tree, then the rest of the species will think that they are stupid. Why not you try to evaluate on the ability to swim, on the ability to fly, on the ability to do other things? This is not something that that we just put in on the slides, but we operationalize it to our differentiated career pathway to have move towards a better ecosystem that will make academicians a lot happier than they are. Okay, there are 4 pathways that we have. And we put them in the system so that everybody can track the development of staff throughout the years they are in UTM, through the development. And basically these are what we have in UTM. So we need future-ready educators for everybody. The basic thing that we have is actually the responsibility of teaching and learning. And many of educators these days talk about being future-ready educators, but many really are educator 1.0, 2.0. Even if you implement problem-based learning, or student-centered learning, you are at best educator 3.0. But if you use a lot of technology, and technology will be the core or center of your teaching and learning with the students, then you are educator 4. You are moving towards educator 4.0. But many of educators these days are actually educator 2, at best 2 or 3.0. So we need future-ready educators or educator 4.0. For that, we have developed an ecosystem of future-ready educators where we formulate support groups within the faculty and create mentoring program, because not everybody are happy about just teaching to be basically, they need a group. They need a system to support them to do something that they have not been used to. We also provide as much information about best practices throughout the world as possible. This is the ecosystem we are developing in UTM, because a lot of people talk about future-ready graduates more than future-ready educators. To be able to get future-ready graduates, you cannot afford not to have future-ready educators. That's what we believe in. Again, the people, and then they take care of the customers after the people. Okay, there's a future-ready. Apart from that, we also nurture people who are outstandingly great or insanely great in research, starting young. For example, this UTM Shine is a program in UTM of nurturing entrepreneurial leaders and also being equipped as future-ready educators. They contribute to about 44% of UTM achievement in terms of publication, for example. Only just a few people, about 50 people, who are so very productive, and we unleash their talents through the program called UTM Shine. Apart from that, you may have heard about UTM CEO Fellow. This is something, another program that we think is great, and we want to continue that training future entrepreneurial leaders. And we have, until now, the most number of CEO faculty, the young CEO faculty below 40, throughout the basically academic ecosystem in Malaysia. Then the purpose again is people to drive the excellence in UTM, people to drive UTM to achieve its vision of being excellence. What to Uberize? We have to Uberize what do you want to offer. What are you offering is actually the programs which have product quality, ability to innovate, and we believe that we must connect the teaching with research. And not only that, when you do teaching, you do research, you commercialize the research in form of solution, in form of know-how, in form of patent, in the form of products, in the form of maybe software and so on and so forth. They are not only products as a basic commercialization output. So basically, from that on, you can repackage your teaching into a new program. That is one in the world. A new package program, a new innovative program. That's the only one in the world, possibly. Is that realistic? I will show you an example of UTM program. There's one in the world. This is for everybody knows about this. I don't want to go through that one. Holistic development program. Okay. What we call as strict nexus to develop a new programs that is so innovative that maybe you will find a hard time to try to find a copy of the program elsewhere in the world. Teaching, research, innovation, and commercialization is managed to be able to do that. So you have to have the capacity to do research and innovate and commercialize at the same time, and after that you package it back into a new program, maybe at higher level. For example, we have a humble beginning to this program of energy management that I once founded or started. And then we do a lot of extensive research, especially our niche area is thermal energy management. You may want to Google Skyworld Spotlight about thermal energy management, where UTM lies. As recent as 2014, now it drops maybe about 2 or 3. We are top in the world in terms of thermal energy management through the Skyworld Spotlight. Skyworld is the biggest database for publication. Include Web of Science and Scopus publication. So what have we done? We work with consultants, we work with stakeholders throughout the region and throughout the world and train people, provide them our solutions, and engage in with policymakers in this program. Yeah? And then we commercialize our products, yeah, in energy management, innovation and commercialization cycle now, and allow companies like Hospital Kuala Lumpur, organizations, a big organization like Hospital Kuala Lumpur, to utilize our products. In this case, smart energy management system. And Hospital Kuala Lumpur basically have 80 copies of our software. Now they are getting more for 150 hospitals throughout Malaysia, yeah, basically. And we become the living lab for basically energy management system monitoring with the stakeholders involved. In the end, when you do the right things, the right result will come. Don't count what the KPI are. Don't count how high are you in the ranking. The right result will come. And we believe strongly, even the government will follow, just like Alibaba is doing. Maybe China is the most isolated in terms of countries. Pardon me if I'm saying that ignorantly. But in terms of policy, yeah, now China, about Uberising or democratizing e-commerce, is the biggest in the world, possibly. This is the program that get the government convinced, yeah, to allow UTM to certify energy managers from companies. When you get master in energy management in UTM, you also get professional energy manager certification. Number two, master in energy management, professional energy manager certification, and at ASEAN level, you get certified energy manager certification. 3 in 1. Is it possible for you if you don't go through the trick nexus? Is it arguable that it may be the only office type, yeah, program in the world? I'm struggling to find one, actually, yeah, that is similar. So, registered electrical energy manager, you have to go through UTM route. Certified energy manager, you have to go to UTM energy management route. Okay? So that is why, yeah, through our desired states, to nurture holistic entrepreneurial balanced graduates, which is about people, we have to focus on, yeah, innovative curriculum. Among other things, is to satisfy the requirement of, for example, to map with the IR, Industry Revolution 4.0, and we think that, yeah, to democratize access and widening access or Uberize education is the way to go in the future, so that it will produce people who are empowered in terms of their learning and teaching. So again, how to Uberize, yeah, and one of the bigger things that we are engaging upon is actually through transnational education. Once we drive our people, nurture our people, and develop them to future-ready educators, we have to think about future-ready curriculum that is insanely great, innovative curriculum to offer to people, and then you engage with people through, yeah, international, transnational education, so that people will buy your product that is innovative. Okay, what is transnational education? Is exactly about Uberising education. What is Uberising education? Allowing people to learn your curriculum in their country. You think of KFC. Do you need people from US to operate your KFC shop? Definitely you don't need them anymore. You don't need actually people even to own the KFC basically chain in Malaysia. No, you don't need them. Yesterday I met the KFC General Managing Director, Dato' Sri Azahari, and he is talking like KFC is his own. Is making, for example. Yeah? Sometime in the future, we are going to talk about our education, yeah? And people in Mauritius or people in Kurdistan, we have franchise program in Kurdistan, for example. We'll be talking about UTM's program like it is their own program, and they are passionate so much about it, so that they want to sell it all over the world. We won't complain because they will pay us a franchise fee. That's all we need. Without us going there, except for validation and except for auditing and so on and so forth. You still have to validate, yeah? This is about transnational education we're embarking, and UTM transnational models have covered all this. We are not talking about bringing just international students to Malaysia, which Even the Kementerian is talking a lot about, which is very good, but we are talking about spreading our curriculum throughout the world without us having to go there. This is about Uberising education. And this is the different modes. Yeah? And partnership, you have to actually partner and promote, yeah, with the policymakers in particular. As you can see, one of our program, energy management, has extensively been promoted and partnered with policymakers. Okay, partnership and promotion. Driving. Do you want to be industry relevant or otherwise? Everybody say your program must be industry relevant. We disagree a bit. Why? Because you have to drive the industry. Because you have to drive the industry. Because if in 1900, Henry Ford had asked the people or the industry what they wanted, guess what they wanted? A faster horse. But he drove on, not worrying about what people said. Of course, you have to listen from time to time to you know the state of the art and so on and so forth, the state of the technology. But if you believe in something, you have to drive until it materializes. And we believe in basically this transnational education and ethnic nexus, that people one day is going to subscribe to our program throughout the world, maybe more than 100 countries, not just in Australia or in the US. If it's one in the world, one of a kind, then maybe even in the Alaska. Okay, that's the purpose. Driving excellence, working in synergy with stakeholders to widen access. Don't work alone. Don't just be industry relevant, but drive the industry with what you basically believe in, and widen access to Uberized quality education. This actually is the next thing I want to say. When you actually Uberize education, when you develop new technology, you also have to showcase the impact of this new technology. This is the performance delivery you're talking about. For example, you have to put in UTM so that when people visit, we have about 1,000 visitors. Sorry, visitors from 1,000 companies that know about UTM sustainable. Companies here is not just universities. Sustainable energy management, smart energy monitoring. And it is covering what people want. Okay, we cover what people want, fourth industrial revolution, but we know this is the right thing to go about. Fourth industrial revolution has been overset. And this is our smart energy management system that is being implemented in UTM first before it being implemented in Hospital Kuala Lumpur, for example. UTM Eco Home is right at the center, just next to the stack of our horse stables. UTM Eco Home, smart, renewable energy Eco Home. UTM station for green mobility, solar charging station is in UTM. UTM Living Lab, another Living Lab, and we are continuing to develop our Living Lab. And UTM Solar Car Park, if you go to UTM KL, you also have Solar Car Park, and in UTM we are going to widen the basically outreach of the solar car parks throughout UTM. Okay, and this is our program, Dynamic program, and the enablers, basically the performance delivery. I'm going to show, and UTM most important, highest niche, because UTM is 50% engineering and technology. The rest is actually strongly supporting, without which we cannot be where we are now in democratizing, especially engineering education throughout the world. What are the community of practice that subscribe to UTM, Uberizing education? This is the community of practice. And recently, now in the 16th, I think, World Engineering Education Forum, our champion of engineering education is going to receive the Global Award of Engineering Education in the USA. World Engineering Education. In Asia, this is the first recipient of Global Award for Engineering Education, Professor Khairia. So this is our current TNE, Transnational Education Achievement, and these are our graduates. Back when I put this, it's about 82 countries. Now it's more, including the one who subscribed with engineering education programs, maybe more than 100 now. And you can see that through our continuing education program, UTM Space, we have as many alumni as we have in the primary or prime education, program perdana kita. This is very important for us because this enables people from the industry to go back and study through an accredited engineering degree program. This is only one in Malaysia, accredited part-time engineering degree program. Accredited part-time engineering degree program. Okay? And this is our student most outstanding in the world, maybe at par with Air Asia in terms of achievement throughout the World Society of Petroleum Engineers. Yeah, world-class students. Robocon Asia Pacific, champion in 2017, champion in 2016, runner-up 2017, and champion again. The 2016 champion Asia Pacific and champion in 2018 Malaysia level, and finalist in 2018. Okay, I think I have time. So, Uberising quality education is not just about technology. You have to have a strong purpose to be able to sustain the Uberization of education. Strong, enduring purpose. And then you have to have the right people and drive the people. And you have to have the innovative, most innovative program, and you know who to work with and drive the people to work with you, including the industry and policy makers. You have to provide the right place and provision for the students, and you have to deliver the performance and showcase your performance in particular, so that the purpose of Uberising education is achieved, to achieve excellence, working in synergy with the people, stakeholders, and sustain your institution finally. 6P for performance, delivery, or impact. You will have academic prominence without you even counting them, without you even calculate how high you are throughout the ranking. You will have innovative programs that lead to graduate quality, which is most important to us, because graduate quality will actually lead to trust among the stakeholders or the people out there, throughout the world. You can intensify your transnational education, and promote international collaboration to maybe more than 100 countries through your transnational education. I'm not saying that you don't have to do research. Research is part of Trick Nexus. But it is now in the footnote to us, something you have to do. Opens up collaboration opportunities in all other areas, and emphasize on the fundamentals would lead to organic rise in ranking. This we strongly believe in. This is what we are driving for, and people is at the core of our driving for excellence. Thank you very much for your attention. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you very much.